There he is, Sandy Cerami,
My man.
the solutionist in the house.
In the house, my brother. I got to center my being here.
You're good. You're good. All right. So welcome everybody to another episode of D-Win, Dealership Winning Information Network. And so here we are on the third Thursday of the month. So we do 2 shows a month. Got a special guest today. I'm extremely excited to talk to him. You know, he was one of the original D-Win participants. And
Oh,
that's
no
Rob
doubt.
Ruth. Yeah,
No
Rob
doubt.
Ruth over at Bob Ruth Ford. And the reason Sandy and I reached out to him was because actually from social media, we saw some of the new things that he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly lessons learned from that's happened in this year in 2020, and extremely excited to see where this takes him in 2021. But, you know, this show today specifically is all about differentiating yourself, right? And it's something everybody wants to do because we're all, like we said, we've already tied. We're all, I guess, tied in the sense of racing to the bottom in terms of our price on the internet and everything such as that. So what do you do? Why should people come visit you? Advertising price doesn't seem to work as well as it used to. So you've got to differentiate yourself in different ways. You've got to add value. And what Rob is doing is definitely that. So it'll be exciting to talk to him and figure out what he's learned, what's been going right, what he's got to improve on with that, and go from there. So, Sandy, I'll tell you what, let's play our video, and then we'll come back and you can introduce Rob.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, let's get this show on the road, everybody. Welcome to D-Win. First off, this is a discussion amongst dealers, general managers, service managers, marketing managers. We want a lot of interaction, a lot of Q&A.
Having enough people that have enough time to spend with each customer is one of the biggest places we've seen an increase in our transaction amount of service.
You got to act like you care. You're walking around their car, you're looking under the hood. Even if you don't know what you're looking at as an advisor, just get out there and talk to the customer. Look, your battery's not corroded. It looks good today, sir. I'll check on these other things you're talking about.
It's getting the service advisor to get over that hump of, oh my God, how am I going to tell this customer they need $3,000 of service? And we train them, and these guys are that way as well. Look, if the customer doesn't need nothing, they don't need anything. But if they need $3,000, they need $3,000 worth of work. And you got to show and tell and give them the problem and solution and why you need it.
We pick up a lot of business from neighbors of people that we service. They come over and say, well, Nissan don't do that, and whatever else. Can you service my car while you're here? And sometimes we can, sometimes we come back for it. Or sometimes we'll do a pickup and delivery. The driver will bring it back. So putting yourself out there, you'll pick up incremental business as well.
These guys are working hard to feed our service departments. Let's work together. We're not different teams. And if you don't have that in any dealership, you're not going to be successful. Your service manager better work hand in hand with your general sales manager.
Businesses that use photos, 42% more clicks to directions just by posting photos, 35% more website clicks than a store that doesn't post photos. So there's this easy, simple way right there.
The consumer experience is, I want to find out, I have a need, I have a want, I have a desire, and how do I get it? So if you're going to make it difficult for me to do it, I'm going to find someone else who will help me find my answers.
I think that's a monster opportunity.
All right.
Oh, look who's here.
That's right, guys. I would never miss it.
Scott, I told you to lock the door, Scott. Jesus.
I had to let myself in.
Welcome back. Hey, Jamil was a little bit late only because we give passes. He was selling somebody, hopefully selling somebody. So hopefully closing somebody. But
it's opening, Scott. It's opening. The new approach is to open a new customer up, not just close them.
Hey, you know, on that recap video, I loved what Matt was saying because he was talking about if I'm not improving the customer experience and moving in that direction, right? And that's where everybody's got to put a lot of focus. It's the easiest way to differentiate yourself, which is a good segue with what we're going to be talking about with Rob today. So with that, Let's bring in Rob. And then, Sandy, I'll let you do the intro. All right.
Well, listen, he's my man crush in the business right now. I love watching what he's doing. Rob Ruth is never status quo. Rob Ruth is always a guy that's looking to do things in a way that serves the customer. He's got the perfect blend of humility, but with enough ego to go out there and put himself out into social media and get things done. What they're doing right now at Bob Ruth Ford is, in my opinion, what everybody needs to be paying attention to, because they've set their business up and designed the processes so that they can deliver the kind of experience to anyone that's looking for it in a way that nobody else in the marketplace is doing. And so they've got a first mover's advantage when it comes to online retailing. So let's bring Rob on. I'm going to zip the lips and take a ton of notes. I can't wait to hear what he has to say. So without any further ado, my man, Mr. Rob Ruth, dealer principal at Bob Ruth Ford.
Thanks,
All right.
Andy.
What's up, buddy?
Welcome, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
How you doing, Jamil?
Doing good, man. You're looking good, buddy.
Yeah, thank you. It's a foot of snow today, so I've been cleaning up cars all morning. Great.
The man just completed a 75-day, no fat, no alcohol, no carbs, no. I don't know if you watch his Instagram, but I challenged him at the beginning of the year, saying, "Hey, by NADA, I plan to have as many abs as Rob Ruth." I commented. I said, "Well, I lost that." He goes, "There's time left in the year." I said, "No, there isn't." No, there isn't.
I think I got you there, but next year.
That's all right.
Next year.
But it's for me, it epitomizes how he attacks everything when he sets his mind to it. He doesn't half step anything he does. I love it. And so Scott, jump right into it. Let's get it rolling, because there's going to be a lot of content today, and people need to pay attention to what Rob and his team are doing out there right now, because it's making a difference.
Yeah, I say I would start off by asking you a question, Rob, and that is, I know what you got, so let's introduce it. What are you working on right now, or have you just introduced that's got you so excited?
Yeah. So we just introduced our VIP customer experience, okay? And what that means is when a customer contacts us, so 82% of our customers or our sales are coming from the internet or the phones, okay? They're starting there. But we're offering a VIP experience to that customer, meaning we're willing to give them all the information that they're looking for, whether it be, their pricing, which we're very transparent already, but their payments, trade values, interest rates, terms. I mean, we're just being fully transparent while the customer's at home instead of trying to make the appointment. So we're actually, we're working car deals all day long with people, finding solutions for them versus just, hey, let's just get them in. Let's just make the appointment and go from there. And then from there, one of the common objections is, hey, well, I just want to drive the car. Okay, I need to see the car. So, we can either offer them a virtual test drive, which we'll do a FaceTime video or a Zoom call with the customer with a sales rep, or if they're a local customer, we'll actually bring the car to them. Once we've kind of set it up and we knew we were on the right car and we've kind of to terms on the vehicle, we'll bring the car to them. We're doing all paperwork for this VIP experience, with the customer, just like this on a Zoom call. We do a finance TO on a Zoom call. We'll do a DocuSign with all their paperwork. And then lastly, we give them the option of a 30 minutes or less pickup at the dealership, or we can have it delivered to them. And we have, and the delivery to them, we have a shipping quote right on our website where the customer can go in and find out exactly what that delivery cost would be to them.
So let me ask you a question. What percentage are taking you up? I'm curious, between the pickup at the store at 30 minutes. I love the 30 minutes or less, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's, and I've been out there. So is that building built where you're doing the deliveries?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you've got this VIP process. What percentage would you say right now are taking you up on pickup versus ship it to me?
The majority will come in and pick up, believe it or not.
Okay.
Now, if it's out of state, and we just rolled this out like last week. I mean, the last piece of the puzzle was the delivery. Okay. And, we partnered with another company, shipyourcarnow.com, and an easy solution. I don't know if
Is that Brady?
Don Brady. I mean,
Don Brady, sure.
That was like the missing piece for us to kind of like put this whole program out there. the 30 minutes or less, we could do that. But, having the ability to offer that solution to the customer, that was a game changer for us. So, I'm all about it because we were doing this, as you guys know, we talked before, so we're in Pennsylvania, and when our governor shut us down in that month.
Boo! I'm giving you the boo right now.
Boo to him, but whatever. We found that people, they were still contacting us regardless if we were open. So we kept our BDC open. We kept a few people on board, and we were making car deals all day long, and people weren't coming to the dealership. And then the market exploded, and we were just, it was just like you said, Sam, it was drinking from a fire hose. I mean, so we just started bringing people back in, and we almost kind of went backwards a little bit. But then now, 6-7 months later, we realized, our numbers were better almost when we were doing this remote experience, because we could take that sales cycle, that sales process, and shorten it considerably. Okay. And it gave us more, there's more we can do without that customer being here. Because when they're in your operation, you're under the clock, and you need more people. And to give somebody a good experience, you really got to be hustling, and you need more people to be able to do that. So, I'm super excited about it. I think it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win for the customer, for the employee, the dealership. It's a triple win in my opinion.
So sometimes, when we talk to dealers, and I've heard this even from some of my own stores, our market's not ready for that.
We're not ready for that.
I agree. I don't think the market's ready for it at all. Nobody.
The market is screaming for it.
And there's
a company out there, fellas. There's a company out there. I'm not going to name them, but you know who it is. They delivered 175,000 cars last year. You don't think the market's screaming for what Rob's doing right now?
Yeah,
but
that's a we thing.
I would say, what are some of the? Have you had, I guess the question I was going to ask to that is, if your market's a small market and maybe it wasn't ready for this yet, have you had anybody say, hey, Rob, I was going to buy from you, but when I heard you guys do delivery, I know I can pick it up. I've decided against it. I'm not interested in buying from you if you're going to be an offering people that delivery thing.
I'll let you be the judge of that question, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You smell that, Rob?
I don't know many people that wouldn't accept more convenience. And what I try to preach is, we're not that special. Okay. I like those conveniences. When I'm buying from somebody, if they can make it more convenient and make that experience seamless, I'm going to do business with them.
Right.
Okay? And I just try to think that I'm not that special, and that the customer base that we're serving wants the same thing.
Yeah.
So hey, Rob, I got a couple questions for you. So for the audience, you're new to use ratio because you kill it in use, to kind of give them an idea of what you're doing.
So we're 5-to-1 used to new, and I believe that we could do a lot more in new, but product's been a big issue for us as everybody else. Inventory in general just is, it's been an inventory nightmare this year. Just it's so volatile and up and down.
So I am fascinated with this nationwide, what you're doing. How are you kind of advertising? How are you marketing that?
To begin with, and again, this is we just kind of put the pieces together, and I'm like, just get it to market. So we, social media was the first thing that we hit, but we have some other strategies. Just we want to hit it digitally. I'm still open to that. I don't really know the best way to advertise this experience, but we're going to figure that out.
And right now, ship your car now. Is that just a plug-in on your website that the customer can put in their location and it spits out the shipping cost?
It's so simple. All you got to do is just one zip code to the next, and it gives you 4 options. You could take it, a longer time frame till the car gets there to an exact date, and there's kind of in between, and it gives you a quote instantly. It's great internally, not just for the consumer, but just for us. If we're talking to someone that might not be necessary in our immediate market, that we can offer this solution to them and, have it at our fingertips instead of, just fumbling. Well, who should we use for shipping? That's been I can't believe I didn't solve that problem until now, but yeah, whatever.
Well, I think necessity becomes the mother of innovation.
Yeah.
Right. For us in our business, it's just the way it rolls. I mean, COVID forced us to look at the business differently. It forced us to find, and this is the third time we're going to say the words, a solution to the challenges that we had. And I love the way how it's evolved for you, really from the first time we got the lockdown orders. I know your brain went into how do we fix this right away because it's how you operate. We were talking about that early on during COVID, and it's only gotten bigger and better for you guys as you figured it out. I love the thing you said before. You said that we kind of fell back into what our comfort zone was. We were letting people back in. And then we had the aha moment where we said, wait a minute, man, we were doing this a lot better and making more money and needed less people and had happier customers when we were doing it the other way. That's got to be the standard.
Amen. I mean, there was really no excuse that we just kind of fell back. And it's like, okay, we woke up, we got to shorten the sales cycle, as we get it, we're in winter months. I mean, we worked out of a tent for 6 months here. I mean, Scott, you've been to my store. We just don't have the space. So, with COVID and everything else, it was like, that was the only solution that we had was, just keep it separate. And we worked out of the tent, but, we built another building just for deliveries and, customer interaction, which kind of gives us that separation. But this just gives us even more. And it's not even about COVID. It's about
convenience.
It's about convenience.
It's adding tremendous value. It's not just perceived value. It's real value to the people that want that. So if people want to come pick up their car, they can still do it. And when they pick it up, they don't want to be there long. So the fact that you're guaranteeing it in 30 minutes or less is outstanding. I think the fact that they can easily just figure out the shipping. I think you said you had, in one of our talks, you said you had one customer that had said, well, how much do I have to pay for this? Or is this shipping free? Or because you ship free within a certain radius. So, correct?
They asked me how much extra do I have to pay for this experience is what they said. So there's a lot of
that's great.
There's a
that
lot
is great.
That said right there.
Get that testimonial on camera right now. Right.
So Rob, let me ask you this question. For the dealers that haven't jumped in with both feet on this yet, what are some of the potential roadblocks or even things that maybe, I love the fact that you just introduced it and said, let's get it out to market because it's so much easier to improve and become more efficient with everything once you actually see real world challenges with anything you throw out there, right?
Yeah.
What kind of challenges have you seen that, looking back, man, it would have been great if you'd known that before you started, but that you're working on improving and that you would recommend to other dealers?
Well, I mean, the biggest challenge is ourselves. Okay. So as a dealer, as a general sales manager, you've been accustomed to doing things a certain way for so long as a salesperson. So the biggest challenges that we need to overcome is ourselves, and internally that's the challenge, the execution, because hey, going to market, I mean, I believe in us because we move pretty fast here at Bob Ruth Ford, but I'm not going to say it doesn't come with its own challenges. But I mean, I'm just beating this in everybody's head. Like, this is what we're doing, and we're getting wins. We're selling a lot of cars every day, and people aren't coming here.
Yeah.
There's a great question right now from Jim Fitzpatrick, the Jim Fitzpatrick, by the way. Very cool. It says, ultimately, do dealers want buyers to come to the showroom, or do we want to keep the entire sales process online? What's the end game? My only commentary there is quite honestly, I think it's got to be buyer driven versus dealer driven in terms of what the experience is going to be. And I think ultimately what I've seen throughout the marketplace, and Rob, it speaks right to what you're doing right now, is these folks do want to take the majority of the process and get it done before they ever show up at the dealership. And you spoke to that point before when you said it's a much more efficient experience and it's a better experience when the customer has all the stuff that they can do where they don't have to be at the dealership and you guys aren't under the gun, if you will, or on the clock while they're sitting in front of you, right? That's when mistakes happen. Quite honestly, I bet you have a more efficient process and less mistakes now that you don't have to have, people hurrying up to get stuff done while the customer's waiting.
That's exactly right, Sandy. And you're you're into performance when the customer's at the dealership, and it
Sure.
kind of takes that away where you can kind of we're more in control of the process, but we actually gave the control to the customer. Okay, so they chose this and they want it.
Right.
So then we can be more efficient when they're ready. We can kind of have the process lined up that when they're here, the car's cleaned, it's gassed, it's this, it's that, the paperwork's done. If there's any missing things that we need to do, there's a list of this needs to happen. And we're having people in and out in 18 minutes. Some people might want to spend longer if they want to, depending on how much they want to go over the car, et cetera. But, we're leaving that up to them.
Yeah. And Jim's backup question is, in a perfect world, what's best for dealers? Rob, I'll let you answer that question. I have thoughts, but I want to hear your ideas.
I don't think it really has anything to do with what we want, Sandy. I mean, we're serving a customer, and if there's a demand, I think that we need to serve the demand for it. They might not even know if there's a demand.
Yeah. Yeah. I liken it to if you went to buy sausage at the butcher. I don't need to be back in the room where they're cutting the meat and grinding it up and seeing how they put it into the casing. I just want to go, when I put it on the grill and grill it, it tastes great. That's the part of the experience that I want to be part of, not the other part. I want the butcher to do that,
Yep. And don't get me wrong. If someone wants to come in, we're not going to argue with them. We're not going to, but we want to give them their options.
Right. Give them an option.
And we want to explain to them why this is a good option. And it might just be, maybe it's a little bit of a hybrid of that. Hey, we're going to try to get as much done as we can with you, just so we're more efficient when you get here. I read something, I looked for it, but a J.D. Power study said the average time spent at a dealership is 3.6 hours. Now, who in the right mind wants to spend 3.6 hours anywhere?
Forget it.
I don't want to spend 3.6 hours anywhere. So, to me, it's just about saving them more time. And I think people appreciate that. But every circumstance is different, and you got to roll with whatever it is.
I'll answer Jim's last question with, I think what's best for the dealers is whatever sells the most cars and makes the most money. So if you can truly be where the customer's at, right, and do true, not just one-to-one marketing, but one-to-one customer service. In other words, this customer A wants to come in, they want to do it this way, they want to shop at your location because they don't get what they need, they don't get to feel and touch it on the internet. But there's a lot of people that don't want to do that, right? And so if the dealers that are going to win, what's best for the dealers is being good at making sure that you satisfy and can serve or create the type of experience that every customer wants to get from you. So,
yeah, I think it always goes back to the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, or 90-10 rule, is I want to gear my business around the 80 to 90% of people that are out there that want to do it in a particular way and deliver an experience that nobody else is willing to perfect the way that we are, as opposed to, creating a business model based on the 10% that are going to create, less efficiency, may have lower CSI scores, lower profitability, et cetera, be less efficient in terms of the cost associated with the sale. I want to make my business built around the 80 to 90% of the market. And it seems to me that they're going in the exact direction that Rob has built his business model around at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, how do you market your vehicles differently? Because I know you have some interesting ways in terms of how you price out vehicles as well as how you advertise on your website.
How do the vehicles differently?
Yeah, how do you market them differently? Like from how you take your pictures, how quickly you turn it around, and how do you price them?
So we put a lot of effort into that whole merchandising, and that time to lot is huge for us. So, as soon as we get a car, that clock is ticking, and we want to get it photoed. We want to get it, descriptions up, and get it out there as soon as we possibly can. Scott was at my store. He saw, the process that we have, and we manage it. We have accountability measures in place. It's just, we put a lot of effort into that.
Anything that's measured can be improved upon, right? You're measuring the key parts of the process that need to be tight and need to be timely. And I love that about your operation.
Correct. Thank you.
I want to go back
You've also got a great team. I mean, I see your crew. I know my man George from Ford and Mr. Hartle out there making things run. Alexis, right? I mean, you've got a team that's really committed. Everybody has bought into and believes in the culture of your store. And so I believe that the reason why you're able to achieve and execute at such a high level is because you've got literally 100% buy-in at every level in your organization. Everybody knows what the goal is ultimately.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think it starts there. I think that you have to start with the employee, because if you don't have a good culture there and you don't have, employees that are engaged, you're not going to really give a great experience to your customer. I mean, it's almost nearly impossible. So, I mean, we really focus on that culture. And to me, one of the things that also with COVID, and we're talking about what we learned, is how do we, the company goals need to be the same as the employee goals are the same as the company goals. And we really have an alignment of those things right now.
Yes.
And that has been powerful. We have a more of a team approach to selling, with, multiple people helping different people, which is very unique in our industry. So
it is unique. Before you go into that, and I want to make sure we go there, because that's another thing that I think differentiates, maybe the customer sees some of it. They probably do, in the sense that everyone's even more willing to help, and hopefully the customer service is better. But going back to Jim's question, because originally I wasn't quite sure what he was saying, like in a perfect world, what's best for the dealer. And I think we answered him right, because he said agreed. But, you could have looked at it a different way. And without him being on here verbalizing his question, it goes back to, well, what's best for the dealer? It could be like, is it better for the dealer to have people come in because they're better at selling customers that way versus online? And so I didn't know how to take his question initially. And it kind of goes back to what you said earlier, Rob, and one of the biggest obstacles you have in moving, and this probably goes for anything that you do that's different, is your own people, not necessarily your team, but in any business, our own people is what probably gets in the way, because there's the common phrase, well, we've always done it this way, right? This is how we've always done it, and so that gets in the way. And so I think a lot of dealers know this is the direction they have to head. I mean, it's steamrolling in this direction, but what's stopping everybody is fear, and then a comfort zone of a limiting belief of thinking, I'm just better at handling someone one-on-one when they're in front of me versus on the phone. The one thing that we talked about a lot on some of the early D-Win conversations was, wow, we can sell a lot of cars over the phone because you were forced to, so people were calling, they didn't want to come in. And all of a sudden, instead of the phone call going from, man, I've got to do whatever I can, because first off, I'm incentivized to get them in, all right, versus just selling them on the phone, I'm going to push that conversation in that direction. It now became like, well, let's sell them and close them on the phone. And that started happening, I think, in mass over this thing. But go talk a little bit, because you have another thing that differentiates your store. And I don't know any stores that are doing this with your team, your sales team mentality. It's not just one team or two teams in shifts. They work almost in sales pods.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, our BDC works as a team, really, and we just have different levels for them, just based on their skill sets and the training that they've been through and their history. But then our sales floor, we have them in teams of 5, and we have a team leader, and then we have an assistant team leader, and then we have like a mid-range down to an entry level that's climbing, with accountability measures and we give them a career path, which I'm excited about that, because it's like, okay, I can attract a lot of, maybe it's a young person that, wants to better themselves, and they can see a group of people that have, really climbed their way in our organization with different levels that they've gone to. So, we're attracting a different car salesman than maybe before.
I love it. It's taking the team or lateral support production system that we use in shops around the country in the service end of the business,
Exactly.
applying the same principle.
Exactly. And you know what else it does? And I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Sandy, but
No, that's all right.
some of, those team leaders, they're guys that have more experience, and they get that fulfillment of actually helping other people within the organization instead of a survival of the fittest. So,
they're part of something bigger than themselves individually.
Yeah. So a lot of mentorship going on. I just love what we've created. I know it's unique. I know I kind of really.
It's killer culture, my man. Yeah. It's killer culture, period.
But we have good people, like you said, Sandy, and I think they believe in the organization. And I think that we all have the same beliefs that, hey, the customer really wants this. Let's go with the flow here. Let's not try to make them do something that they don't necessarily want. Let's just, hey, you want this? Absolutely. We're going to help you. Let me get you all the information you want right now. Let me make this easy for you. Let me answer your questions. Tell me more about your situation. Tell me what we can do for you to solve your problems. I mean, it's kind of
it's scalable, Rob. The thing I love about what you said is it's scalable because you've created a career path. You can come into the business knowing close to nothing or nothing at all. We're going to teach you the ropes. You're going to start out at the bottom of the totem pole, but you're going to have an opportunity to work your way up. And for you, it becomes scalable because then you've got that ATL that's sitting there ready to take their own team over. And it should become a rite of passage for them. And it should become bragging rights for the team leader whose ATL is most ready to assume their own team. And that's part of the culture that you've built over there. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Time will tell, but I'm excited about it. So,
yeah. Scott, Jim has another question. He says, has the digital revolution got us all headed to a one price environment? And man, that is a great question. It is a question I've been asking for the last 2 months as I really deep dived into the Carvana model and saw how they've taken the one price approach on pre-owned vehicles. Rob, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I mean, I believe it is. I mean, I think we're in a transparent world, and we have to put our best foot forward, or we just might not get the opportunities. So, I think it's just an evolution, to be honest with you. And I'm okay with it, to be honest with you. I don't want to sit here and go back and forth all day. Well, that ship has sailed. That takes too much time. Let's figure out a different way to earn that customer's business.
I think the efficiencies of moving a lot of the process online and over the phone and using text as well, because that's a very powerful way to communicate these days and get a deal over the curb. I think all those efficiencies lead to an environment where one price selling can be a better gross profit opportunity, but really a better net profit opportunity for the operation. Like that's the piece that we've really got to be focused on is the net profit. The grosses may be a little bit lower, but our expenses are lower as a result as well. And so the net is what's better in the end.
I'm going to agree with that. I think that, it's going to be better for the whole company as a whole. That chasing that average gross profit doesn't make much sense to me.
Right. It's how much you keep.
Yeah. Right.
It's easy to make. It's hard to hold on to.
Yeah,
well, the world. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
I think that, we need to be creative as dealers too. I mean, there's other things that we can get into. Maybe it's accessories. Maybe it's, your financial products, service plans, et cetera. I mean, we just have to be creative on other ways versus just, the sale of that vehicle.
And I also think that you can own the driveway in a system and a process like yours, because they've had such an incredible experience with you with the one vehicle. In most households across the country, there's a second vehicle in the driveway. In a lot of driveways, there's a third. And I'm about to have a fourth. 6 months from now, I'm going to have a fourth vehicle in my driveway with both of my kids driving. I mean, I want to own the driveway. If I'm a dealer principal these days, I want to own the driveway of every customer that I've got in my database. And to me, that's a great way to get a shot at the second, third, and fourth vehicle in the driveway.
Yep, I agree.
Mark Giron has a question. He says, how many dealers communicate yearly objectives to all employees at the beginning of the year, to all staff, and then monthly? How are they doing, and any changes that have occurred in the marketplace? Great question. Rob, what do you guys do in terms of forecasting and then annual objectives, and then breaking it down monthly in terms of performance and adjustments?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a daily communication with us, what our objectives are. And, like you said, our teams that we're working on, our lateral support groups, they have an objective as a team. So it's like, here's with this structure, this is what, this is kind of like what we expect. This is what we want. And this is like, you're knocking it out the park. So, we try to communicate that all the time. And, you don't want to over communicate too much sometimes and get people lost, but try to keep the pulse of the market right down to, the entry level salesperson so they can communicate better with the consumer as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's critically important that people know what a good job looks like, know what a great job looks like, and know what a subpar job looks like. They have to understand the difference between the three, and it should be communicated to them. It's the ultimate in accountability, right? Yep. Reciprocally, right? Because if you're a team leader or a manager and you're not effectively communicating that and being clear to your people in terms of what you expect and what a good job and a bad job looks like, then you're not being held accountable.
Agree.
So David Boyle has a question. Do dealers have the right tools to really go 100% digital? I'm going to say right now we do. We got dealers that are out there proving it. Rob, you're doing it over in Dillsburg. I know Brian in Queens with his deal, they're doing it. There's plenty of dealers that are doing a 100% touchless. Adam Aaron's another one.
Sandy, I've been, you haven't been to our store, Scott has. That's
the second time now. You taking a shot at me because he went out there and
because there was a few promises that you made to me that you were coming to see me, but
I got to take my mouth off the fire hose too. I hear you.
Listen, we're not close to too much. We're in a small town. There's a barrier in the highway. We've got this old building. We never had space, so we've had these challenges we've had to overcome. And like you said about Queens, you've got to be creative on figuring out different ways. So I think that's actually helped us in the long run because we've had to, be innovative and be creative to overcome our own obstacles.
Yep.
So
that's what I love about what. Sorry, Rob. That's what I love about what you guys have accomplished is because there are so many people out there that have a lot of advantages over you in terms of one, location, bigger markets, facility, they're not as landlocked, whatever it might be, and you are just cranking out units regardless.
There's three areas where Rob Ruth is never at a disadvantage. 3 areas. I'm going to give them to you right now because forget about location, forget about brand, any of that nonsense. Facility, the mindset, the killer culture, and the commitment. Nobody ever is going to say that he's at a disadvantage in those 3 areas. You could be on the planet, you could be on Mars doing what he's doing, and you're still not going to beat him.
Well, thank you, Sandy.
That's the truth.
Sandy, I still want to know if you stole the phrase killer culture and did a spin off of Jerry Lee Lewis's Killer Country. So I don't know.
I've been working on his hairstyle. That dude had killer hair. I'm going to have to get the killer coif. How's that? The killer coif.
So Jim followed up with another good question, and that said, he goes, are salespeople still relevant?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. But I think to your point, Rob, with what you're doing on the pods, maybe we have to look at and I know this was discussed a lot in a lot of the early D-Win stuff, and that is the model and how we use them and what we're doing with salespeople, does that need to evolve?
I believe it does.
Yeah.
And honestly, I never liked it. I've been managing salespeople in a certain structure for so many years, and they're out there just undercutting each other and just stabbing each other in the back, and I get tired of that. We have not had one skate. We haven't had one really altercation since March when we kind of just shifted. So it's like, as a dealer, it feels so much better. Like I know we're going in the right direction.
I totally agree, Rob. I want to address Jim's question because I was, immediately want to say yes. Salespeople are not only relevant, but great salespeople are going to be the ones that really win in this economy and in a market like this, right? So you've got to be even better. And it's a matter of technique and it's a matter of strategy and it's a matter of execution more so now than ever before because of the fact that it does require a little bit different approach, a little bit different perspective in terms of how you approach executing a transaction. But the basics don't change. Folks, you've been saying it a couple of times. People are looking for answers. They're looking for transparency. They're looking for solutions. They don't want somebody to sell them anything, by the way. And I almost want to get away from the word selling or salesperson. They want people to help them make the best decision possible for them.
Exactly.
That's the name of the game, period.
Exactly. Yep.
And by the way, they'll pay big money for that experience.
I hardly agree.
First off, if anybody does not know who Jim is, he's done a great job here today in the chat, and you can see why CBT News is lucky.
Exactly. That's why I was for it.
Exactly.
Jim, I'm giving you the thank you. I'm happy to have you here. Honored.
And Rob, this goes right to you. You're a single point store, right? So where do you see, is that going to be a challenge, say 10 to 15 years from now?
I mean, I think absolutely, I think there's going to be challenge. I mean, this is the year of challenge. I don't think it's going to get any easier. We just have to get better. I can't really tell you what direction, I'll take my own store, but, we keep winning and we keep, gaining market share and profitability, there's options.
I would also say this, Rob, and I'm curious to hear all three of your feelings on this, but I would also say that, that question seems to be very focused on the new vehicle dealer, right? And so the bulk of your business, you said you're 5-to-1 used to new, you're always working on a new piece of it, but the part of your business, and every dealer can say this, every new car dealer can say this if they want to, it's a choice. The part of the business on the variable side that they can have the most control over is used vehicles, period, dot, end of story. And so if you want to establish a sustainable, scalable, and I'll call it pandemic-proof business model, get your used car business rocking and rolling, because it feeds the back end of the business just as effectively, if not more so than the front end of the business, and you have control over it. So I think that if you're a strong used car operator, you're going to be around in perpetuity.
I agree. I've been that way for 20 years. I mean, that's how I started. I mean, I loved going to the auctions with my father when I was 18 years old. I liked buying and selling. You feel like that's our real, true entrepreneurial spirit is the used car business, because you can create.
I think the bigger question here really goes to, where is Carvana going to be in 10 to 15 years? Because to me, or the companies like them, because to me, as more and more dealers start moving in this direction, and they're going to have to do it. And then it started when the bigger dealer groups start doing it, and it becomes their entire process, like a Penske or an AutoNation, and those stores, Asbury and such. And it just starts taking over, and it becomes the norm. Why would you go to Carvana in the sense that the dealers are local to the community? They obviously have the service benefit to it, right? They have strong relationships. To me, it puts a bigger, the quicker dealers get to that, I feel like those businesses, if I'm in that business, that's my big fear. That's my worry.
Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think to Rob's point, I think on the used side, that's going to be the key. The new 15 years from now, I don't know. I think it's going to be more and more consolidated. So I think what Rob's doing on the used side is 100% accurate.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, Rob, you got 240 units in your inventory right now, right? Right. What are you guys selling per month on the used side?
The last 4 months, 250-ish.
That's fantastic.
Inventory's just been such a struggle to get. So I mean, we're really getting dialed in on trade-ins and purchasing off the street. I mean, the auction world is just such a mess.
Have you found any strategies that, besides customers doing 1-for-1, buying a car and trading in, to be able to just get used cars off the streets?
I mean, we advertise it. We're buying maybe 40 cars a month off retail cars off the street. Wow. Yeah.
And you advertise it.
I can't give away all my secrets, but yeah, absolutely.
All right. I won't ask too much, because it's interesting, right? 241 used cars in a town like yours, knowing that the auction prices are so high. You guys must have really good processes in place. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
And I think the approach ultimately, when you talk about buying cars off the street, you have to get to the root cause of why people are actually selling the car in the first place. It's not always because they're looking to trade a car. We look at it that way because from our perspective, we say, oh, we want to trade it. We want to sell them another vehicle. But the truth of the matter is sometimes people's life has changed for some reason or another. They may be selling a car for an octogenarian that can't drive any longer. Maybe they just need money. A lot of times we got to approach it from a source of funds for a seller versus, hey, we want to sell them another vehicle after we buy theirs, right? So I think that shapes some of the marketing to buy people's cars off the street.
Great.
So Squire had a question in the previous comment that was up there, and does 100% digital or touchless eliminate human involvement altogether? So Rob, so you're about as far along as full digital and be able to do the whole transaction, but there's still human involvement. If you're shipping the car, at some point somebody's talking to the customer. You're still doing the DocuSign on the paperwork, correct? Is that completely done digitally, or is someone walking them through that? Or
we still need humans. It's all human involved, 100%. But we're using the humans are using technology. We have to learn to use the technology to our advantage, really.
Right.
I don't foresee that is a Carvana approach. I think the human approach with the technology and the convenience is what wins. I mean, I don't think that they can, unless they can figure that out. I mean, I think we're under threat. They are a disruptor. And first to figure out the customer service and having some, just some people involved is going to win.
So Rob, we've got, and I hope Jim's still on here. It sounded like he had to go, but here's the best question of the day. Are you ready?
I'm ready. For me?
No.
I mean, money talks. All.
I'll tell you what, I think it's all relative, right? So that question from Jim Fitzpatrick it's $1 million question, no pun intended. I think a lot of it has to depend on where a particular dealer principal is in their life. And I don't just mean age-wise. It could be in terms of the life circumstances. Do they have sons or daughters or nieces and nephews or anybody in the family coming into the business behind them that they're looking to groom as the next stakeholder in the business? Do they look at it as an opportunity just to take an investment, maximize the return on the investment, and get back into the game later on down the line? I think it's a very individual response that you'll get from each different dealer out there. If you ask 10 different dealers, you probably get 12 different responses because a couple of them change their minds halfway through their answer.
I mean, Scott, what would be your answer, Scott? Put you on the hot seat.
How's that? Turn it right around on him, Jay-Z. That's it.
Well, I will say this, and so we're not looking to sell. However, Rob's in a different boat. This was his father's store, all right? And so there's more emotional stuff there. Rob also lives and breathes it, and I'm an absentee owner. My 3 stores are not where I applaud dealers that live in their market. It has its advantages because of the relationships, but man, you have got to be on your A game. Sandy's got a great story. Sandy's got a great story of what I would hate if I lived where my dealerships were. Sandy was once when he owned his store, he had a moment of road rage. So Sandy, I'll let you tell that story. And,
I really don't want to tell that. I don't need to share that story with the whole world. Suffice to say that I allowed my temper to get the best of me on my way back to the store because I was late getting back, and just had an incident with another driver. It wasn't even anything that I had instigated, but I didn't act my best. I can promise you that was the case. I was in my younger days had a little bit of a temper, and I pulled into the lot, and that person was pulling into the lot with me. so you got to be careful when you're selling cars in your own market. I know Rob can identify with where I'm coming from.
So that's the second time. Someone earlier said I haven't seen anybody get into a scuffle or anything like that. Sandy, the only time I've ever seen you get in a scuffle, I think, was when we did the Fourth Box Live event here in Louisville, and you were walking over to the Saturday Morning Donuts and noticed someone had taken the last one.
Oh, Jamil, you got to come to my rescue. Wasn't Scott just complaining last night that he's gained 20 pounds in the last month and a half?
He looks awful.
And by the way, I can't see it anywhere except in his face.
Poor Rob. Rob was 10 years younger during the pandemic. Scott's aged by 10 years.
Listen,
Scott's aged by 10 years.
I'm in a bulk up phase. I'm bulking up. This is my mass building stage. All right, Rob knows.
Well, listen, you're bulking up right through your hairline right now, buddy. I don't know what the hell's going on.
The pandemic's been great for Scott because he hasn't had to wear a suit. He can just wear his Move Crush count shirts that expand with his body.
Hey,
all right, guys, I'm going to show you right now. This is why Jim's such a good and intelligent person. All right, right there, that comment on the board. That's all you need to
Jim
know.
Fitzpatrick. First of all, great honor for him to be joining us here today. We appreciate it. But don't feed Scott's ego, for God's sakes, please, Jim.
All right, I'm trying to get through some of these.
David Boyle just said something also, and he's right, and that is that we have 100% control over our service departments as well. Again, this is the one piece that I share with clients all the time is like, I really want to focus on the areas that I've got complete control over my business. Rob, I know you look at your business that way. It's one of the things that I admire about you is, where you have complete control over, you exercise it.
Exactly.
You don't let things happen to you. You make it happen for you.
I agree. I hate the victim mentality. I hate we talked about yesterday, we got a foot of snow. So, I did some videos with, my sales staff and I'm like, hey, what's your least favorite day in the car business? Well,
Exactly.
Today, and they're all pointing outside. And I said, well, what solutions have we come up with for our customers? And, they all said, well, we can actually help them virtually. We don't need them to come out to the lot. And these things just, I want to take control over it. I want to focus on what I can do. I want to, make our people better, not necessarily, just get bigger. I want to be a better organization.
Hey, you just said it for all the northern stores, all right, of why they need to go digital. Because on these snow days, when you get dumped with 10 to 15 inches of snow, all those pictures on your site doesn't have a snowflake on them. All right,
Correct.
you can show them and celebrate them.
They can be the most productive days you have in your store. Think about that.
It was. We had a great day yesterday. We 8 cars and we left at like 3:00. I mean, it was a good day.
Yep.
Mark Duran says a great comment here. I'm interested in human interaction as long as it adds value.
Amen.
You can say that, and hey, listen, the one thing that COVID's also done on commercial real estate, right? So it's the same thing. You're going to see businesses downsizing because they realize they don't need as much space. So the only real estate is great too if you're making money from that real estate, right? In other words, if it doesn't bring value, what good is it? It's the same thing. So I love it. The COVID-20. Jim, good job, guys, with the weight comment. All right. A good question, follow-up question here, though. Will service pickup and delivery last beyond COVID?
I think so. Why not?
You're doing this to do it ongoing, correct?
I am. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
We have to. You and I have been talking about this forever, Scott. We have to differentiate ourselves somehow. I mean, and that's we're providing a similar service, but we have to differentiate why a customer would want to come to us. So
correct.
Let's say that the only thing we can differentiate is our customer experience.
When you get to a point, listen, everybody can shop easily online and see everybody's price. So if the question came up earlier, are we going to a one price? Well, there's really no way around it because, I mean, you're welcome to if everyone's already put their price at the bottom, you can't go really lower than that. Even the manufacturer cracks down on you advertising the wrong way. You're definitely not going to advertise higher. So if you're at the same price, your customer experience is what's going to separate you. And what dealers and everybody needs to understand is the customer experience doesn't start once they call you or show up at your store. The customer experience starts the moment they click on your website. How easy is it to navigate through? Are they getting the information that they want fast and easy? You
should be prepared for those questions, Scott. Okay.
Yeah.
We should be prepared for the questions when somebody wants to negotiate price, and we've got a one price system in place. there are other ways to address that question. And I'm not going to give the milk away here, because this is something I teach clients on a regular basis. You've got to be prepared to answer those questions you know are coming. And there's a way to actually add value to that transaction without having to lower your price.
I agree.
Figure out what's important to the customer and deliver that to them. If we let them use their words and talk to us, anything that a prospect says can and should be used to help them make the best decision possible about their next vehicle. Period. That's it. Ask questions.
James Baining said, an interview I did with him, and he's over Asbury, all their used car operations. And he said, you know, he took him a really long time to go to one price on used cars. It just ate at him, and it went against everything he ever believed in. He said once they did that, his volume went up and his grosses remained the same.
Yeah.
It only helped him.
It's a leap of faith. Like Jim, one of Jim's questions before, what's the biggest fear of 2021? For a lot of dealers, that's it. That I'm going to have to go to one price, or I'm going to have to be completely transparent online. The other question Jim asked was, do we think pickup and drop-off service is going to be with us past COVID? And my answer is absolutely yes. I think that once our customers have an appetite for it, you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle. And it makes sense for us too, because we can actually plan our business more effectively. Would you agree with that, Rob?
Totally agree to that. I mean,
those surprise pickups, somebody shows up a half an hour early, somebody's taking a half an hour too long in the box. It creates just tremendous inefficiencies. We can plan our business and execute more effectively. I think that's a win-win-win. Yeah.
You know, Jim asked, why did it take a pandemic? And my answer to that is the dealers, because we were comfortable and everybody was doing just fine and doing well. But when the pandemic came in, and dealers did great through that. So I don't want to act like, oh my gosh, look what happened. But in the first month, no one knew what was going to be going on. And you had skeleton crews out there and general managers fielding phone calls, selling deals, sometimes 10 to 11 at night. So necessity is why did it take it? I think fear of change and we
said it early on. Necessity is the mother of innovation. And by the way, here's a funny thing. I'm coming up on my 34th year in this business. I can't believe I'm saying that, but that is a fact. 34 years in this business. I have heard in my don't even start, SJ.
No, I was just going to say, most people in this business that are lifers start in their early to mid 20s. But the fact that you started at 35 years old, all right, and
it never stops,
been in
Rob.
For 34 years, I think it's outstanding.
It never stops. I'm telling you. I did. I led with my chin, so I might as well take the punch and keep moving. But here's the deal. I can take the punch and keep moving forward. I keep advancing. My point was going to be that in that period of time, it's amazing to me how many times I heard the death of the car dealer predicted because of a change that was happening. It's so reptilian in terms of the way we respond as an industry and as human beings that change automatically means we're dying, we're going away, we're going to be eliminated. I don't think that these changes mean the elimination or death of the car dealer. It may mean significant transformation that happens over the course of time, but those that are willing to, as you do on a daily basis, make the adjustments, figure out the best path forward, and then maximize the opportunity, it's transformation. It's not going to be the dissolution of the car dealer or the dealer network, in my opinion. Because again, used cars, we control 100% of that deal. Service and parts, 100% of that deal for the most part. Merry Christmas to you, Mark Geron. I know I'm a rookie. I know.
I think it makes it. I think the more efficient. Listen, this is a business where once a few people start having a lot of success doing something, it moves pretty rapidly throughout everybody else.
Yeah.
So I think it becomes. I think transformation was the right word that you used, Sandy, and that is that I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a complete flip. And I think dealers should be welcome to it. I know it's going to take some capital investment when we're asked to redo our stores again. But I think you're going to see bigger service departments, smaller showrooms. I think you're going to, because we're still going to have to service cars, right? And you're going to need the space for that, but we don't need as much real estate in order to sell them today. And that's only going to accelerate.
I would agree.
Yep, I agree.
I got to answer David Boyle's question. David Boyle, it is ice water, buddy. It is ice water. I'm rehydrating after the fourth box last night with these two characters, Jamil and Scott. So
I got to vodka though.
we know how to make vodka too in Kentucky, right, Scott?
Yeah. All right. So out of respect, we're coming up right here at 4:00, Sandy. I'll let you do the honors and shut us down.
Well,
Rob, that was awesome.
The best. The best. I was looking forward to this since we connected with Rob on Monday. We were taking a shot because it was short notice, but we're paying attention to everything he's doing. Rob, I just want to say this to you, buddy. I mean it when I tell you this sincerely. I've got the businessman crush on you. I think you're a dynamic person. I love where your intent comes from. It comes from the heart. You use your heart and your head in your business. So I just want to congratulate you on continuing to move your business forward, to lead just a tremendous team. You married the right lady for sure, because I know she gets it and supports you 100%. So just keep it up. That's all I say.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You guys have been great. You've been great friends through everything too. So, I learn a lot from you as well. So I appreciate it.
Amen.
Right.
Amen.
We will. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I just want to thank everybody that participated today. A gigantic honor for Mr. Jim Fitzpatrick to join us. Always my man, Mr. Mark Giron. Squire always chiming in. David Boyle, the beast from Texas, and everybody else that participates. It means the world to Scott and Jamil and myself to continue to see the audience grow and to see the kind of participation that we have. The content continues to get better and better. And it's all about the guests and all about the people that are participating. And so I want to say thank you. I want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, Happy New Year. We'll be back after the new year with even more exciting content. And I want to wish everybody a safe and healthy holiday season.
All right. And we will close out. In case you don't know, this was a segue into our fourth box stuff that we do every Wednesday night at 7:30 with someone. There's 3 requirements. If you want to talk with Sandy, Jamil, and myself on a Wednesday night, you got to like bourbon, you got to do the cigars. Rob, you've been a guest, and you got to be great at business. We don't require all 3, but we need at least a combination of 2 of the 3. That's all we ask. We don't care if you're not good at business as long as you love cigars and bourbon. So, we're fine, whatever you do with that. So. But we'll play that trailer. Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you,
buddy. Appreciate it.
See you guys.
Well, guys.
Bye-bye.
Hey, listen, the fourth box isn't for everybody. It's only for those people that want to have fun, have a bourbon, smoke a cigar, and come up with absolutely ingenious business and brainstorming ideas.
I could do this all night long, guys.
I love to be a disruptor.
The first guy that gets that done is the winner.
You can't get any better than this. But don't worry, whatever happens in the fourth box stays in the box, baby.
This is some good shit. These notes are big.